Hello everyone. In this lesson, we'll look at JavaScript. So far all the HTML examples that we have seen, they basically provide you a static web page. So you have some content and a styling, but it does not interact with the user. And JavaScript is a scripting language that provides the functionality to be added so that you can create interactive website. Now in the scope of our Angular course, we'll be using Angular, which is a TypeScript based language, and because of that we'll not be writing lot of JavaScript for our project, but it is still better to have some high level idea about how JavaScript works. So we'll look at some simple examples in this lesson. So let's get started. Let's create a document and call this test javascript.html. Now if we open this page using an IDE, and let's start writing very simple JavaScript. So we can use the script tag for that, and we are calling this function, built-in JavaScript function called alert, and as you can guess from the name, that's exactly what it does. It creates an alert. So let's see that in action. Now if we open this page, it will create an alert. This page says hello world. Now ideally we usually wouldn't want something like this that will automatically alert. We'll want something else to trigger that alert. So let's do that. So let's add a button and modify the functionality so that when somebody clicks on that button, then this alert appears. So for that, we'll create a input type equals to button, and we can put some value for that which will appear on the button. And now the way we can link this to this particular piece of script is we have to make a function around this script. And once we have the function, we can go back to the button definition and we can add that function call as an on click to this button. So now what will happen is that whenever someone clicks on that button, then this function will get called, and the functionality of that function is to do a alert. So let's save that and let's see that in action. Now if we refresh that page, we can see this button compute, and if we click on this compute button, it gives us the hello world alert. We can click again and it will do that alert again, because that is assigned, this functionality is assigned to the on click event of this button, so that whenever this event happens, whenever a user clicks on this function gets called. Now let's expand on that functionality a little bit. Let's add two fields here. Say one is variable a, say input type equals to, we could put text here, but say we're trying to make a simple calculator, so let's call this number, type equals to number, and let's give a ID for this. I will come to a bit of why we need this ID. So we are calling this var a, which is short for variable a, and then let's add another input like this, and let's call this b, and it's variable var b. Now when we have these IDs, JavaScript provides us this functionality that we can refer to these elements using this ID, and we can access some property from that element. For example, the value, the value that the user provides to those elements. So let's see that as an example. So if we declare a variable here, and then we call this document. Document is like the overall document, like the HTML page. In this case, all the code we are seeing here. And then on the document object, we can call get element by ID. And then here we can provide the ID for a, and then we can call dot value. So that will give us the value for that variable. Now let's see if that is working. How can we test that? So we can here, after hello world, we can concatenate variable a, and now we can test that. So we have two fields and compute. If I type here 5 and if I click on compute, say hello world 5, that means we got that value from the field. Similarly, we can get the value from the other field. Variable b is document dot get element by id var b dot value. Now, as you have seen here, we're doing an string concatenation using the plus symbol. So that causes some problem, because in JavaScript, the JavaScript is a loosely typed language. What loosely typed mean is that here the variable a or variable b, they don't have any specific data type. They could have text, they could have numbers, etc., and then by default it can assume that it's text. So if we do something like this, var result equals to a plus b, then usually we would expect it to be summing a and b. But since JavaScript is loosely typed, here it can assume that these are string variable, and then as you can see that plus can be used for string concatenation as well. So instead of adding those two values, it could very well concatenate those values. Let's see, try it and see how that works. So if we print the result here, and if I type here 5 and 9, and if I click compute, then it is saying hello world 59. So it's basically concatenated those two values, because as I said, JavaScript is loosely typed. It did not realize that those are actually numerical values. So the way we can make sure that it understands those numerical values is we can call this other built-in function parse int, so that it will parse that number to an that string to an integer, so that when we add them, it will give us the number and it will add those values. So now we are parsing variable a and parsing variable b, and we are getting two integers, and since we are putting a plus symbol between two integers, it will understand that I need to add them, not concatenate them, and then put the value here. So let's see that in action. If I refresh that page and if I put here 5 and 3 and compute, now it gave me the result hello world 8. That means it managed to add them. What if instead of showing them it in an alert, if I want to show that result somewhere in my page? So what I can do for that is I can create here a span, or a div would work as well, but I can create a span here. I can call this result, and this can initially be empty, and I can put a break before this so that it appears in the next line. And then finally, when I have managed to get the result, I can take the similar approach of calling document.getElement by ID, and here I can get this element, and then I can put the inner HTML of that to be my result equals to, and then concatenate the result here. So for now, since I don't want to see both this alert and then the result in the page, I can comment this out. And we have previously seen example of HTML comment. That was a slightly different syntax. HTML comments are like this. And here we saw an example of a JavaScript comment, which is, this is a single line comment, or we also have examples of this kind of multi-line comment similar to C and Java. So now see that in action. So I can refresh this and I can type the results number 6 and 9, and I can click on compute, and it will print my result here. It changed the inner HTML, and every time I put a new number, it will change the inner HTML there, so the new result will appear. So instead of 6, if I put 65, and if I click on compute, it will put the new result there. It updated that. So that is some simple example of JavaScript. Thank you.